And we welcome you back to Tennessee this week. It is time to hear from our panel of pundits. WATE 6 on your side, healthcare analyst Craig Griffith, attorney Terry Adams, and WATE 6 on your side, political analyst George Corda. All right, gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and get to the District 18 and governor's races here in a moment, but we want to start with the Senate debate, which was here in Knoxville between Marsha Blackburn and Phil Bredesen. Okay, I just want each of you to give me your basic thoughts about how they did. And Craig, I'll start with you.
Well, I don't think they really had a knockout punch from either candidate. Phil seemed to be quiet, seemed to be in control of the situation, trying to be nonpartisan, and then Marsha got her obligatory hits into Hillary Clinton, and
many of them.
So,
yeah.
You know, I don't think that anybody's minds was changed. The only comment I would say is that Karl Rove in the Wall Street Journal wrote that the time to solidify your base is over. You should have already done that. You need to reach out to independents and Republican moderates, and I don't think she did that. And I think Phil did a fairly good job of saying, I'm calm, cool, and collected. I want to be the person to be your senator. So I don't know that she did herself any good in appealing to the independent and the middle.
Terry, what did you think?
Well, I agree with Craig. I think that there was a compelling divide between the two. I think you've got a person who is putting themselves to the right of the right wing, and you got somebody who's putting themselves right smack in the middle of the political dialogue. And Phil Bredesen did a great job with that. I think Craig is exactly right. There was so much red meat from Marsha Blackburn that you would have thought that this was a Republican primary, or that in some way we were trying to early on in the race trying to solidify a base, and that was just it seemed like the time has passed for that.
So you're both saying it was awful late to just be solidifying your base. Now let's go over to George. What did you think of this? First impressions.
Well, I think the New York Times came out with a poll that said Blackburn's up by 18 over Bredesen. The CBS News poll had her up by 8. This suggests that the Kavanaugh controversy in Washington did not help him, because people were able to focus on national Democrats in the Senate and didn't like what they saw, Tennesseans voters generally. I thought Bredesen did what he always does, which is to present himself very well. And I thought Blackburn said what she needed to say, though not as artfully as she could have said it. That being said, he has to convince Tennessee voters that he's not going to be one of those national Washington Democrats. And right now, that appears not to be happening for him. It doesn't mean he can't turn it around if those polls are correct, but the reality is that with things like the Project Veritas tape that's out there, with some of his campaign workers allegedly talking about, oh, he'll be a fine Democrat once he gets, basically, he doesn't mean what he's saying. Once that circulates, he's got some real work to do to appeal to those Tennesseans. He needs to win.
It's an uphill fight. Yeah.
I think also that at this point in time, political gravity is setting in. Tennessee went 2-1 for Trump. He won by 61%. And I think that gravity is settling in on that race, and you're starting to see, as we get closer to Election Day, that influence.
So, okay, speaking of political gravity, let's go ahead and talk about Greg McKay and Martin Daniel, the two gentlemen who were just here a few minutes ago. I mean, this was an interesting race, and these guys were taking each other on pretty good. We don't have a lot of time to talk about this, but I'd like to get each of your thoughts on that. Craig?
Well, I think that Martin has won this district twice before, and I think, in this case, he's the champion, and you got to knock out the champion. And I don't see where Greg McKay has hit any knockouts. He may be working hard, but I think that's only a sign that he doesn't have that much money. So he's going door to door and things like that, which is what you do if you don't have a very well financed campaign.
You agree with that, Terry?
Well, no, I don't agree with that at all, because the way that you win House representative races in the state of Tennessee is knocking on doors. That if you don't do that, it is very, very difficult to win. If somebody's doing it and the other person's not, you almost always win. That being said, he's exactly correct when it comes to, is it difficult to beat an incumbent? Yes, it's really difficult. Martin Daniel's done it twice in spite of some really negative press that he got during the last campaign. So, is it possible to knock him off? Yes. Is it likely? We're going to see how well the door knocking works.
George, what do you want to add?
Well, in terms of this conversation took place here, when Greg, and a lot of people know Greg and like him, a lot of people know Martin and like him, when Greg talks about being civil and reaching across the aisle and then jams that stiletto into Daniel's ribs. The question is, are people watching going to say, no, wait a minute, what I'm hearing isn't what he's saying, and that, whether that's determinate or not is open question.
It was an interesting moment. We only have a minute left, and let's go back to Carl Dean, who we heard from earlier. I mean, the bottom line is, polls have shown from the beginning he's behind. He's got to have a message that breaks through. Terry, what is it, and have you heard it?
Well, I think the message that breaks through is he was a great mayor of Nashville. He really helped build that economy. He has a great name idea across the state, ahead of Bill Lee's for a long time. I think it's probably still ahead. I think that name identity is going to carry him further than what we're seeing in the polls.
And, George, you were shaking your head the other way.
I think Carl Dean wins. He'll be the most surprised person in the state. This state is Republican voting for a reason, and he is not offering Republicans. He's not doing what Bredesen did when he ran for governor, which is really give Republicans a reason to go to him and say, you know, I think you could be the guy I can support.
10 seconds, Craig.
Political gravity again is coming in. It's a Republican state. And when Bredesen ran, the big issue was TennCare at the time. It was exploding, eating up the state budget. He took solid steps, offered solid steps to get it back into functioning.
I hear music. That means it's time to leave. Hey, if you'd like to watch this show again, you can find it on our website, WATE.com. Our band is named Political Gravity, by the way. Okay. Hope you have a great Sunday. We're going to take
The views of guests and panelists of this program are their own and not necessarily those of WATE 6 on your side or Nexstar Broadcasting Incorporated.